It's kind of crazy. Rob Smets called me early in the mid-morning, and I was on the phone with somebody else. Never got to him. Then I kind of forgot. Then a few hours later he calls, and I'm in a meeting somewhere. And, then you just get, the time the meeting's over, you forgot he called. And then the third time he called, I was at a Marine Corps building that I own, and I was playing pinochle with these Marine Corps guys, and I get this call, and I said, I got to answer. This is the third time Rob's called me, and it was Rob, and we built a great relationship through the PBR and stuff over the years, and he wanted to be the one to tell me, and it was just, I kind of brought a tear to my eye. Them guys asked what was going on, and I told them what happened, and so it was, this don't happen every day, and it was pretty overwhelming for me. I'm just a hay shaker from Mandan, North Dakota that, grew up pretty humble, and to win an award or be inducted into what I call something really big is pretty overwhelming for me and my family, really. I got pictures on a horse when I'm so little. I don't remember being on a horse, but we did. We grew up on a feedlot and a ranch, so we rode horse every day. We broke horses, trained horses. My dad bought every knothead from that nobody could ride. Me and my brother Fred would have to break them, and then we just checked cattle on horseback, checked fence on horseback, doctored cattle horseback. So I have so many early memories of riding horse. I broke little ponies when I was a little kid for a side gig. My dad would buy me them ponies for $10, $15, $20, and I'd get them riding and sell them for $100, $150. I was back in the 60s. That was a lot of money, So yeah, it's pretty. So my whole life was pretty much spent on the back of a horse, Yeah, at a very young age. We started going to Little Britches rodeos, and my dad would put us on steers, cows, anything we could get in a chute. And the first arena we had was in a feedlot in River Bottom, and in the corral where we had a little homemade chute, there was 3-4 big old cottonwood trees in there. We'd buck through them trees, riding them steers and cows, and so it was. And we went on to Little Britches rodeos from all over Montana, North Dakota, and Littleton, Colorado, to the Little Britches finals, and then pretty soon we got it. I started entering amateur rodeos when I was 13, which is pretty rare. I was traveling with my older brother and his guys, his buddies that were older than him. So I'm 13 years old, traveling with 20-some-year-old guys to rodeos, and I don't know if my mom. Teach you some life. I don't know if my mom and dad were trying to kill me off or what, but it was pretty good. And then when I got into high school, the high school rodeos, amateur rodeos, and met a lifelong friend named Mark Kuhn. That became my traveling partner. We were both the same age. So we went all over Heckwood, riding into North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, amateur rodeos. But when I was competing I was mostly bronc riding and bull riding. But in high school, I did all events. I worked all 3 timed events, 3 rough stock events. Then I bought my permit when I was 18. Thought I was going to started going to some pro circuit rodeos, and I got married when I was 20 years old, and so I just kind of stayed pretty close to home rodeoing, and then the kids started getting a little bigger, and I become a cattle buyer in the cattle industry, buying and selling cattle, order buying for other customers, started buying semi-trailers and leasing them out, and then one day I thought, man, if I get hurt, I got all these semi-pots and stuff. Heck, I could lose them all if I was out of business for a few months. So I kind of retired pretty early, and then I could become in the rodeo business raising bucking bulls. Got a PRCA card with Joe Simon, Dakota Rodeo Company. Started my own Chad Berger Bucking Bulls with the PBR. Won 12 Stock Contractor Year Awards in the PBR, most in the history. And a few World Champion Bucking Bulls. But it was, like I said, rodeo, I owe everything to rodeo. I mean, from the time I was a little kid, there was a guy by the name of J.C. Stevenson that had bucking bulls. And he was my dad's partner in the cattle business. My dad was a cattle buyer. My older brother Fred became a cattle buyer. I became a cattle buyer. But J.C. Stevenson took me out, took a liking to me. So he'd take me everywhere, and he would just preach to me all the time, teach me things and how to treat people. How, don't do this, don't do that. He'd send me out on a mower. Say, now, Chad, I got all 10 of these fingers, Chad, old boy. He said, you know why? He said, because when I got something wrong, I don't just turn the PTO off, I shut the tractor off. And I was 10, 11 years old. And to this day, if I go work on equipment, I just shut everything off. And I mean, there's so many life lessons. That's just a small one, but so he was very influential in my life. And of course, my dad, he was always preaching to me and work. We just worked hard, and he just installed a work ethic, I believe, is about as stout as anybody could put one in a man. So first and foremost, to be a good stock contractor, you have to be a good cattleman. And that's to know when there's something not right with one. And I think that was what set me apart from a lot of people, is I knew when something was wrong with a bull, where he wouldn't show it, but I could see it. And that I picked up from my father and from J.C. Stevenson, just being around them. And my gosh, if something needed, my dad, I can promise you, if it come to the kids eating or the bulls were going to eat, and are taken care of. And so I believe, foremost, you got to learn how to take care of your animals. And because if they're not at their game, they can't perform at their highest level. You have to make sure, and I think that's one big thing. And then, yes, I think I have a great eye for talent. And I didn't just raise all the bulls. I bought a lot of those bulls, but I watched them, studied them, and knew that they had more potential than they were showing, just from being mishandled, misguided. And I think that's what set me apart from a lot of people. And a great one, well, first of all, one that's constantly paying attention, that's always got his eye on you, never takes his eye off you. He wants to know where you're at all times, so he knows what he's got to do. That's number one. The athletic ability, watch them how they move, and of course, just their great ability to buck. And that, you can't make one buck, you can't make one mean, but you can make him better by getting him on the right side, left side, or right side, wherever you think he needs to be, and looser flank, tighter flank. You just have to find that little niche and what they like. Because I'll tell you about a bucking bull is they love their job. The good ones just really love their job, and so it's up to you to make sure to let them do their job and at their highest potential. I tell everybody that everyone's got its own individual personality, and I like to compare them to humans, because they're so smart. But there's them. You go into the bar, right, and there's this big bully. He's always acting like he's going to whip everybody, but the minute somebody stands up to him, he goes and hides off in the corner. And that's the way them bulls are. They'll get to fighting and thinking showing them guys they're the toughest, and then all of a sudden this one little bull says, "I've had enough of this," and whips the hell out of that bully, and he'll go stand over in the corner. Then there's them bulls that never bother nobody, but you start picking on them, they're going to whip the whole bar, and some of them want to be scratched and petted. Some of them want to be left alone. Little Yellow Jacket, my dad's a great bull. It was 3 times. He just loved to be petted on, scratched. And then I had a bull called Smooth Operator that didn't want nothing to do with anybody. He just wanted to buck and be left alone. And so there's just they all have different personalities. I had one bull, his name was Copperhead Slinger. Every day he ate his grain, and when he'd get every last drop out of it, then he'd bite that rubber tub and fling it in the air until it laid upside down. And if it wouldn't, he'd grab it again. As soon as it laid back down, he'd walk off and go get a drink of water and lay down, but just weird things that they do, and it's pretty cool. Well, he weighed about 1,600, and I'd say 1,599 pounds of it was his heart. That's what that bull was, when he was a 4-year-old, coming 5-year-old. I don't know if I've ever, to this day, flanked a bull so rank. And then he got injured. He split his pelvis from his spine, and I took almost a year to heal. I just tampered with him, give him therapy, just did everything to get him back, and he started going again. But he wouldn't really, he didn't want to hurt himself again. Well, then every trip he got a little more comfortable, and then he shattered his kneecap, so I had to heal that up. Well, at the age of 9, which most bulls are done, he became a world champ just because he would never give up. And at the age of 10, he won it again. I don't know if there'll ever be maybe a 9-year-old win it, but they'll never, I don't think. But he just had that heart. That was, and bucked so hard, but he never ever bucked as hard as he did when he was 4 or 5, but he bucked so dang hard and he was just one of them special bulls. You only get a few of them in your lifetime. Pearl Harbor was another one I had, and that was so special. And Copperhead Slinger. I had a lot of special bulls, but Smackdown and bulls that were always in the top 2 or 3 in the world, either reserve or Code Blue won it in 09. And so I've had probably more good bulls than any one man should ever have, but it's been like I said, keeping them together. If I got a lot of bulls that are 8, 9 years old bucking that I can promise you, if they were in the hands of 85% of the other people, they'd have been done. But I just knew how to take care of them.
So now,
oh my gosh, it's so much. I can remember going to them rodeos when I was young. There was they had a few sponsors, and they'd be on a piece of plywood and slap some paint on it, put so and so's name on it. To now with corporate sponsors coming out of their ears, beautiful arena settings, and when I was young, all the arenas were sheep wire fence and wooden bucket chutes, wooden back pens, falling down because they were built in the 1920s or whatever, and it's just gotten so much more. And TV, it started out with, like, PBR made stars out of their riders, and they made stars out of their bulls, just because they were constantly on TV, constantly talking about the bulls, the riders. And now with the Cowboy Channel and the PRCA has gotten so much more popular and better. And I truly think the Cowboy Channel had a lot to do. We're getting new, just by having it on TV and people flipping channels. And what's this? I think then they say, well, I want to go see one of them. I think the attendance is up. I think, I always thought it would hurt it because people could just sit at home and watch it on TV. But I think the diehard fans still come to the rodeo, and I think we're getting a lot of new faces in the sport of rodeo. And I'm really excited. I think rodeo and bull riding is in a good place. It's on the verge of, where people are going to take it serious as a sport. It's just, I wish I was 30 years younger to see what's going to happen. But, hell, I'm just getting started. But I want to be here as long as I can and watch it grow. And I've been producing some big rodeos myself. I do a big one, a Rough Rider Cup. We had over $500,000, and we get every top rider in the world. And I really like bull riding. PBRs where I really, put me on the map, no doubt in my mind. But I'd like to do more rodeos now, and because I just think they're on the verge of blowing up themselves. And I love what's the riders. I really thought the bronc riders and bareback riders would die out because they didn't grow up like I did on a horse. They grew up with a machine, a TV, or iPads and phones, and sitting on the couch and jumping on a four-wheeler and going out check cows on a four-wheeler or whatever. I just thought they would lose that, but I think it's more athletes now than back then. I didn't have to go to the gym because we hauled 30,000 square bales every summer. We worked hard, everything we did was labor. But these kids now, they train, and they go back in them rodeo, and you watch them bareback riders take their shirts off and get taped up. Well, they're athletes now, and I just think rodeo's in a great place, and when something's hot, there's going to be more of them little kids sitting on the couch watching that. Well, I want to do that. I want to try that, and I just think rodeos and bull riding and everything is in a great, great spot. The bulls, but the problem with the bull riding is the bulls have gotten so rank that I think it's most of these bull riders don't have a very long career anymore. That's the downside of having great bulls, but but I think people say, are the bulls going to get any rancor? And I said, no, they're not going to get any rancor. Any rancor, they're going to snap their legs off, break their backs. I said, they just can't, right now it's amazing what they can do without getting hurt. And but keeping these bull riders healthy is going to be the hardest thing down the road here.
Of the bulls?
Oh, absolutely. I would say, I'd really venture to say it's almost 50-50. They just love the bulls. And I see it more than anybody because Cooper Tires was a big sponsor of mine. They had booths at them events, and they had me up signing autographs. And the people they're just crazy about the bulls. And like I said, they wouldn't be crazy about them, but one thing the PBR did do was make stars out of the animal athletes. There's a bucking bull of the year, and they're talking about the race, and they're and they're going out filming these bulls, and it's there's fans that want to own a bull. They want to be partners on a bull. They just love them, So yeah, they love the bull riders, but I'm going to tell you something. I think just as many or more love the bulls.